Welcome to Unload and Show Clear, the podcast about all things IDPA. And now, here's your host, the slayer of non-threats, Lloyd Bailey.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Unload and Show Clear. All too often, gun owners and gun culture are portrayed in the worst possible ways in the media. Old, racist white guys who love their guns more than kids. This podcast aims to counter that narrative by shining a light on the members of gun culture who are involved in IDPA, International Defensive Pistol Association. Now, while IDPA members make up just a tiny fraction of the overall gun-owning public, I think they're a representative cross-section of that demographic. They're all races, from all walks of life, rich, poor, and in between, young and old, men and women, patriotic, caring, friendly, and outgoing. Basically, salt of the earth kinds of people who love their country and their fellow men and who are great people to be around. And this podcast is about them. Today, you're going to meet one of these awesome people. So sit back and relax and enjoy the show. Here is this week's special guest. Our special guest this week is Ray Patawaran. He is from Tupelo, Mississippi. Ray, welcome to the show.
Hey, Lloyd. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you here. Tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from. You're originally from the Philippines. You tell us how you ended up in Tupelo and what you do for a living.
All right. I'm an ERP business consultant, so my job brings me to different places around the world. And I got assigned here in Mississippi back in 2011 to help out the facility here, open up their manufacturing facility, and yep, that's how I end up in Tupelo.
Just got there and never left.
Yeah, never left. Then it started like a yearly contract. It got renewed every year. That's why I moved my family here now.
So, how did you get involved in competitive shooting and in guns? Was that something that you picked up back in the Philippines and that you brought with you to the United States, or was it something you fell in love with after you got here?
Well, I started shooting in the Philippines. In the Philippines, almost every weekend there's like a big sanctioned matches of IPSC. So I started shooting IPSC before. Then when I moved back here, I was looking for like local matches. Mm-hmm. And I've shot IDPA before we tried starting it in the Philippines, but how do I say it? It did not prosper because a lot of our guys are like working, and as for me, I've been traveling around the world or wherever my clients are. So it did not prosper on our club, and mm-hmm. I stumbled upon IDPA back in 2011 here in Tupelo when I heard about Ridge Crossing.
Mm-hmm. That's your home club.
Yeah, Ridge Crossing.
And they have monthly matches?
Yeah, they have monthly matches. It's being done by Nikki and Didi Carter. Nikki is the current AC of Mississippi and Tennessee. So he's been hosting like monthly matches, and the stages are very technical and intricate and all. So I really enjoyed it.
So once you shot your first IDPA match, you were sort of in love with it, and that was it, huh?
Yeah. And I learned the IDPA rules 3 seconds at a time because of those penalties. I'm trying to shoot it as an IPSC match, so I keep on dropping magazine. And back then, you cannot shoot like in front of a target. Mm-hmm. You have to use the cover and all. Right. So I was shooting right in front of the target, shooting it as IPSC, and lots of procedure. But I learned it the hard way. But I fell in love with it, and I haven't been shooting IPSC for a while now.
Do you remember that first IDPA match, the first one that you ever shot?
Oh yeah, it was the Mississippi Showdown back in 2015. It was my first sanctioned match, and I got like sixth place. I got a plaque. Somehow, it kind of what you call it. It kind of sparked something in me. Okay, I'm gonna be good next time because I'm like sixth place, and I want to be number one. So I kept on practicing and all. So basically, that's how I started in competitive shooting in IDPA.
What's your favorite division? What do you compete in most often, and what gun do you use to compete in that division?
I started using Glock 34, and I've been competing in ESP. Then I switched to CZ Shadow, Aku Shadow.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, I only shoot ESP. I haven't tried any other division yet. It's all ESP. I just want to be good at it, and for some reason, I'm also designing ZeroSports shirts, so it kept me from practicing. I've been falling off a little, but I'm trying to get back.
So tell us something. You design really cool shooting shirts, and I'm proud to wear one to matches for the last few years. Tell us about ZeroSports and how you started designing shooting shirts. Where did that idea come from?
Well, it came from back in the Philippines before. When I go to every match, you would see almost all are wearing NASCAR shirts. And then when I shoot my first IDPA sanction match, I think I'm the only one wearing one. So I'm thinking I brought it up to our club and asked them like if they want some shirts made for it's not it's business first. And then when we have our first second shirt, then a lot of people notice it and start asking me to have one made for them. Then it becomes ZeroSports.
Yeah, one of your club members mentioned it to me and said, "Hey, I know this guy. He makes these really cool shirts. You ought to hit him up and see what he can come up with." And you've come up with some really amazing stuff for us. And
thank you.
So anything that what was the last match that you competed in? What was the last one that you shot this year?
This year, I think I've shot Missouri Backstoppers we went to Illinois. Yeah, it's the Illinois match. So we've shot that, and it was a great match.
What was fun about it? I've never been up to Illinois. I've been to as far north as Iowa, but never went over to Illinois.
Well, when we're traveling there, we're thinking Illinois. They said it's guns not. They're very strict on gun control.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of what you call it, a little bit very skeptical going there. But the folks there says okay, it's okay. I mean, just as long as you travel with lock guns and you separate everything,
mm-hmm.
you'll be good. And yeah, I mean, but the experience is very good.
So it's kind of like traveling on a plane. You just got to keep it locked and keep the ammunition separate. And so how would you, if somebody, now that you've been shooting for, let's see, your first IDPA match, what was 5 or 6 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody new were to show up or you were to talk to somebody and describe to them what IDPA is all about and try to describe to them how much fun it is, what would you use as an example? What would you tell them that would kind of spark their interest?
I think the same thing like how my interest in IDPA became too, because IDPA you have to be really accurate.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not, because when I shoot IPSC, because I wasn't really practicing back then, but when I shoot IPSC, I just blast the targets away. I got Charlie's D's, I can get away with it. But now with the 1 second 1 point rule, you can't just do that. So you really have to call your shots and all, and that that opened up a little bit on how I think to shoot IDPA. It's a little bit different than IPSC, because I know a lot of, you know, A-class IPSC shooter, when they shoot IDPA, they're running it as like an IPSC match, and what happens is like they're earning a lot of seconds because of the points down.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that differentiates IDPA from IPSC, and that's why I like it. I mean, I like both of them, but that's made me fell in love with IDPA. You really have to be accurate because you know, in real life, I think, you know, shot placement is still final.
Yes, exactly. So, is there a match or how about a stage that you remember that sticks out in your head that was just so much fun that you wish you could shoot again, or that you're like, wow, I can't believe they came up with that? Is there something that you remember from your 5 years of shooting that you were really wowed by?
Um, well, I think, I mean, the boat stage and the teeter tatter stage, because it's really a balance. You have to. I remember that match in Tennessee where you have to go to the like a teeter tatter props, and you have to shoot at the very middle of it. So
Mhm.
I almost fell. And I think I missed a target back then. And but if I mean, I want to shoot it again. I think that's the, you know, the I think that's the one of the most unforgettable stages that I've shot.
So, how you talked about practice and earlier? How often do you practice? How often do you do dry fire and live fire? And what do you see as being a good balance between the two?
I shoot like live fire every week, and maybe dry fire like twice a week, like maybe 30 minutes per night.
Mm-hmm.
But because of, you know, the shirts that I'm designing, I haven't got time to dry fire anymore. It's a good problem though. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to get back because I'm preparing for the nationals.
Right.
hmm So
Yeah.
I mean, I've been trying to shoot as much as I can, practice as much as I can. So, you know,
Is there
yeah.
a specific, is there, for new shooters, is there a specific drill that you like to run in dry fire at the range? Is there one that you come back to that you run every time you go as a sort of a tune-up? Is there something that you do every time?
Oh yeah. I like shooting the Ben Steger accelerator drill,
Mm-hmm.
combined with the Steve Anderson Skull It and Live It. So basically, you run from one point to another point, but on each shooting position, I would shoot an accelerator,
And
like accelerates like three targets, position, like maybe one is 10 yards, one is 15 yards, one is 20 yards.
mm-hmm.
So I would run from one shooting position, one cover, shoot that array, and run to the next position, maybe 5 yards away,
Mm-hmm.
and shoot another accelerator array targets, and yeah, that's basically what I do to tune up.
That's all about teaching you how to slow down and speed up based on the distance to the target.
Yeah, exactly, and you know, and because it's not all about like big launch, it's also about like that smooth landing on the next shooting position, so your sight would stabilize much faster.
Mm-hmm.
And of course the trigger control and everything to get that farther shots down. And as the target goes very near, you know, the splits should become like faster, as fast as you can see it.
Right. So besides the gun, your holster, your mag carriers, your eye and ear protection, the basic stuff that you have to have, what's the most important thing that you always make sure is in your range bag whenever you go to a match, and why?
Yeah, I always bring my liquid grip with me. So during summertime, I use that because my hands are a little bit sweaty. It, you know,
Mississippi gets a little sticky.
Yeah, that's right. So that one, but on winter, I've got this secret snake oil that I put on my hand because yeah, because during winter, my hands are like really dry, and I can't grip the gun that much. So what I do is I use, instead of the liquid grip, I would use this finger moistener. The one you used to count for counting monies and you're flipping paper pages.
Right.
I applied that after I applied my liquid grip and my hands becomes too dry. I would apply that finger moistener, and that would really, stick to my hand would really stick to the gun. I don't know, for some reason it does that.
So you dry the hands out in the summer and kind of moisten them up in the winter.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
That's what I do.
Okay.
That's what I do.
I got you. So what makes you keep? I mean, I don't know if you've got other options for other shooting sports there in the Tupelo area, but what is it that keeps you coming back to IDPA? Aside, I know you mentioned you like the accuracy part of it, but what is it about IDPA that makes you passionate about it? What is it that makes IDPA special? Is it the people? Is it the stages? Is it the game itself? The rules? What is it that keeps you coming back?
Well, primarily it's the people that I shoot with. They're like, I mean, most of the shooters here are like very nice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in Mississippi. Like, people are really, really warm. They're very nice. So that's why I love going back to every match day and spending time with my friends and shooting buddies. So, I mean, how do I say it? It's like sometimes I won't be shooting it. Sometimes I'll just be chit chatting and all, and I and it's my turn already to shoot. So sometimes I shot poorly because of that, but yeah, it's good. It's a good time all the time.
The South, I mean, you're in the deep South, so, and the South, especially places like Mississippi, get sort of a bad rap for being, it's just a bunch of hicks and racists, and you're not the typical, old white guy gun owner, but what I've found with the people that, and tell me if I'm wrong here, or if you have experienced something different, but my experience is that the color doesn't seem to matter when you get to the range.
No.
They just don't see you as anything different. You're just Ray.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what color you are. We all share this love for this game and for shooting.
That's right.
And it doesn't matter. And that seems to be missed in the media a lot.
Yeah. To be honest, Lloyd, just like I mentioned earlier, my job brings me to any part of the world. I live in South America and Brazil. I live in Europe. I lived in, I think, in almost all continents and across the U.S. And our head office is in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
So I got assigned here. Then at one point they're trying to call me back. I told them, no, it's that the guy that you'll replace me with won't last here. I was telling them that because I want to stay here. Because I remember I got a flat tire. And like, I think three guys stopped and asked if I need help. And I couldn't get that in anywhere that I've stayed at, anywhere that I live. And I live around the world. Only in Mississippi. That's why I decided, okay, this is the best place to stay. And so the people are really, really warm.
Yep. There's nothing like the South, that's for sure.
Yeah.
One thing, as we wrap up here, what's one thing you would tell a new shooter who's thinking about shooting competitively? They've read about it. Maybe they just can't get off they can't decide whether or not to do it. What would you tell them if they're hesitant or they're not sure whether they're good enough or they need more practice or something like this? What would you say to the new shooter who's interested in IDPA?
All right. If you're really a good shooter, don't shoot IDPA because you're gonna get ahead of me. Now, IDPA is all about, shooting like, just like in real life, right? But of course, it's not really 100% like that. So all we need to do is just enjoy what we're doing. We're all like-minded people. Once you're into, it's like a competitive shooting, or the shooting community is like the most polite community, and it's like a brotherhood all around the world, regardless of your color or race. It's like a brotherhood.
Yep.
So, I mean, once you started it, it's like a fever. Once you get bit, it's gonna be like on for the rest of your life. It's very addictive and all. It's fun. So people need to try it.
Yep, I agree. Well, good luck at Nationals, and thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you for having me, Lloyd.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's all we've got for you today. Thank you so much to our special guest for coming on the show. If you know somebody in the IDPA community who deserves some recognition, I'd love to talk to them. Send me an email at Lloyd, LLOYD, at unloadpodcast.com. Check out the show notes for today's episode and listen to past episodes at unloadpodcast.com. And if you like what you hear on the show and you'd like to support us, help keep the lights on, pay the bills, we would love your support. Visit patreon.com/unload and make a small monthly contribution to help continue what we're doing here. Tune in again next week for another edition of Unload and Show Clear.